Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I was just doing a little bit of maintenance type work in the studio as I wait for the time to sign in with Sarah from New England Junk Journals, who is the my guest for today. Today being August, what is it, 13th? Anyway, I thought, well, maybe you guys would be interested in seeing what I'm doing. So, just a bit of a backstory. I had a lot of ribbon on spools. And as you know, they take up a lot of space. And sometimes there's very little yardage on them. So 12 feet. And, I've complained about the size of these holes and blah, blah, blah. So for probably the first year or two that I was doing this, every time I came across a spool, I would remove the whatever, ribbon, trim, whatever, and then throw these things away. Then when I got more seriously into doing slow stitching and making snippet rolls and so on, I began, well, number one, wood spools are, my first choice. However, if I, obviously those you need to buy, you need to be able to find them, they need to be at affordable price and so on. Whereas these things are truly garbage that I've been throwing away. So now I don't have my other, I know I've shown this, what do you call it, snippet roll in the past, and you can see that on this one, I obviously covered a big cardboard spool with old book page. Now, because I'm not really an inker, I didn't bother doing anything else. And to be honest, I would have done this quite a long time ago, and I don't remember if I sealed it in any way or what I used to adhere it. But today, again, as I'm watching Sarah's videos and prepping for tonight, I thought, I have old paper around me all the time. I have a bunch of these spools. Why don't I cover them and then have these spools ready to go the next time I want to display a finished, slow-stitched, it doesn't have to be slow-stitched, I guess, a finished snippet roll. So this came out of this music paper, came out of this little thing that I thrifted yesterday. Fireside Hymns, 25 cents. And of course, it's very dense music, so that's always a good thing. So I'll tell you what I've done so far, and then I'll do these remaining three. And sometimes spools can get really beat up, so that's why I've sort of just been kind of trying to make sure that I've got good adhesion. And I'm using this Liquitex matte medium, thinking this is going to be more effective than a glue stick and easier to use than, our glitter glue or Fabri-Tac or whatever. And the beauty of it is that, you can use the same stuff, and I just use one of these bristle brushes. You, excuse me, you use the same stuff to adhere it and then put a coat on to seal it in. And that gives it a little bit of extra strength. And because this is matte, it doesn't add any shine. So the pages will continue to look old. Anyway, on this one, now we know that most of the time, yes, I feel the wee bit of a divot there. We know that typically spools have, well, that's probably from curling ribbon. Spools typically have holes in them. And this is a plastic one, and it's fine the way it is, so I'll do nothing with it. But it just occurred to me on one of these. So I did two before turning on the camera. They still feel cool, which means that they're not yet dry. But because I was able to stand them on their sides, which meant that I could have both sides drying at the same time. Obviously, once they're dry, I will probably, with a piece of sandpaper or a sanding block, I see bubbles here for some reason, you know, do that sort of a finish to get this off here. But what I wanted to show you is that it's quick, and I better, speaking of quick, I better get on with it because I didn't wash my brush. So I need to, so I'll just quickly show you. I have, now is this going to be big enough? If I were to fold this in half, yeah, that would be big enough to cover. So let's do that. Kind of, not that anyone can see the top and the bottom at the same size, at the same time. Oh, I started to tell you about the hole, and now is it too late? It's probably too late for this one. On one of these spools, I think on the second one I was doing, the description, the product description label was glued on to one side, and of course it covered up the hole. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be an easy fix for covering them up? Now, I'm pretty sure that Kim did a video on making these sort of things, and, you know, more power to her for doing what she does, but honestly, sometimes there's so many steps, I think to myself, no, I'm not doing that. Anyway, obviously I could have cut a circle, punched out a circle, or whatever to reinforce this, make it a second thickness, you know, as like double the thickness. But since I didn't think of doing it before I started putting this glue on, this one will be done like the others, which means the hole will not be covered. And you can see how there's this bit of a crease there, and it automatically, because when you think about it, these spools have been through a lot, you know, from manufacturer to store, handled by customers, bought, taken home, probably abused, and then donated back to a thrift store. And I'm trying to I should be doing it the other way though. Use, you know, make the most use of this paper as well. So now I can probably sort of eyeball this, trim off the excess, and, you know, I still have these good pieces to use. Anyway, so I've done that, and now, because this has now become a square, I can stand it up, and that's how both sides get to dry at the same time. And honestly, see, this is acting a little differently here in the middle where it's hollow. So it would have been what I thought I was going to do. But again, I was worried about my brush drying right before our very eyes. What I thought I would do is I would just take a label, you know, like Avery, you know, the packages of labels that we all buy at thrift stores, and stick that across to create a little bridge, a little coverage for the center hole. But I didn't pull that out before I turned the camera on, so I kind of feel like it's too late to do it now. But do I have some labels within reach, but are they the right? Oh yeah, let's do that on this one then. I think this is probably a fairly common size. So we'll put one on one side. And you can see this is recent. It's just from Dollarama. So this one is in pretty good shape yet. It hasn't been too badly abused. Okay, but what paper am I using? The other thing that's been kicking around beside me for the longest time, well, on that bigger spool, you saw that I kind of collaged a variety of papers. I was hoping not to have to do that, but I also have a few of these really sort of beat up pattern pages. So I think I will try to use that. And of course, I could have looked for digitals or, well, let me get the, I could have looked for digitals or I could have looked for scrapbooking paper. But I wanted to clear up what was beside me, and I also wanted it to be neutral so that it wouldn't matter what color snippet roll I used on there, it would look good. Okay. So you can see that in a matter of a few minutes, especially if you do your hole patching beforehand, a person can get a lot of these done in a short time. And if, like me, you have been throwing yours away as you encountered them, you can stop doing that. Unless, of course, you don't like the look of it or you don't make snippet rolls or whatever. And this will also, that little patch there in the middle will also keep, well, maybe it's not that much of an issue as it dries. I was going to say it will also help this dry more evenly. Again, I'm not going to lose sleep over this because if anyone is more intent on looking at my spools than my snippets that I invested, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into, well, then they're no friend of mine. Oh, I just slopped on my desk here. So, yeah. And honestly, sometimes with things like this, I just want it quick. I want a solution. I don't care if it's quick and dirty. I just want it done. I don't want to turn this into my life's work because it's not the most important. Oh, see, I didn't. Now, after I pressed it down so nicely, if I keep it similar to how the other one is, then it'll sit better. Now, do I have to reapply? Probably. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Whoops, let's get this a little lower. I typically don't want to see the margins. And if you know, kind of get to the edge, you can pretty well feel where the spool ends. And now, I guess looking at this from my angle, and while this is perfectly wet, freshly wet, I can see the outline of that little patch that I put in there. However, I don't think that's going to be an issue once it's dry. And again, it's going to be sitting on one of these flat sides anyway, so not a concern. So we'll put that guy down and we'll do this last one. So maybe on this one I should go with this caramely color, or maybe that's not exactly caramel, but almost cut it too small, or tore it almost tore it too small. Okay, Hazel. Whoa. Honestly, I am seeing Hazel more often. So I hope have I been in the frame? Let me move this. And I am using this mat that Carol gave me when we were together. So less concern. Whoops, let these guys not touch. Whoops, I need a patch here. Less concern about how, you know, what might be getting on my work surface. Smaller label for a smaller hole. Okay. And rather than dirty another container and then realize, oh, I poured out too much or I didn't pour out enough, I just typically use the matte medium as you see me doing it here. Just, pouring out an amount. Hey, Hazel, Helen Crosby, and Hazel Carter. Well, I have to make sure these are on here. Whoops, let's get this over. Oh, half the name would be gone. Oh. I think I might have mentioned in a recent video that I actually was bidding on some depression glass because the name of the pattern or the design, well, it was a color that I like anyway. The pattern was called Hazel Atlas. Who knew? And of course, if I don't get perfect adhesion with this, once everything is dried and I've had a chance to have a better look at it, now we have to get this at the bottom to catch the hazel there. Oh, that's a close call. Whoops. And there's Hildegard and Miriam and Bertha. Okay, 2 more things and I'll let you go. And right now, I store my spools on top of a vintage. What would that be? Like probably an antique. No, vintage. China cabinet type scenario. Now, rather than wash this down the sink, I would probably just, try to spread a little more on some of the papers. And once I turn the camera off, I'll be able to wash out the brush and not ruin it. So I hope this has been of some interest to you. And my art cart with that matte medium is about 30 inches away from me. So that's another, you're going to see me using more stuff. I don't like the way that's poofing up there, but anyway. Okay, guys, I will let you go, and I will be trimming these as they dry, but in no time at all, I've got 5 of them done. Thank you. I hope this has been useful to you. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome. And frankly, lately I've been doing a heck of a lot of thrifting videos, haul videos. I am itching, I say, to get to doing some actual crafting. So expect to see more of that in the coming days. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.